the Dawgs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast presented by Manly Bands. Josh All, your host today. And here we are a couple days now after that excruciating, heartbreaking loss in Week 1 to the Bengals. And I don't know how you guys feel a couple days removed from everything. The emotions were running high that day and all that. I'm still pretty pissed. Still pretty bummed that the Browns just beat themselves, found a way to lose. I keep telling people the Bengals did not win that game. They lost. I mean, we beat them. And yet they came away with a victory, and we are sitting at 0-1. So at the end of the day, moral victories mean nothing in the NFL. All that matters is what's on the scoreboard when the clock hits triple zeros. And for the Browns, it was 1 point less. So we're going to dive into some more things from the game. Obviously, more numbers, stats, information has come out over the last day and a half since the game has happened. We did our reaction show Sunday night after the game. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you came in for the live show or if you've watched or listened to it since then, we're going to start doing those on Sunday nights this season. We've got more scheduling issues as our lives get more hectic with more kids and things like that between the three hosts, and Sunday night just kind of seems to be the best time for us to do it. And honestly, it works out pretty well because the game just happened. Everybody's fresh, and we can capitalize on every emotion that we are feeling in the moment and hopefully give you guys a good show on Sundays. So tune in for those, and then I'll probably be doing some of these intermittent episodes talking about things that come out since the game. Then, of course, we will be doing preview shows for the upcoming games later in the week. But today, we're going to talk about more stuff from this tragedy that happened on Sunday. Before I dive into it, I'll make sure you guys like and subscribe on YouTube. Tap the notification bell so you don't miss anything new. Give us a 5-star rating on all the audio platforms. If you're listening to the podcast, we really appreciate those as well. And if you want more Dawgs content and more interaction with us and the Dog Pack community, who we talk about all the time on this show, head to jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dog Pack member on the Patreon page, sync up with the private Discord. Our preview episodes will be done in the Discord, so they will be Dog Pack Discord live shows where I'm going to come in there on Thursdays, and anybody who wants to or is available can jump in on the Discord, come in. It's almost like a live radio show. Like you're calling in, you jump on stage, you can talk, give your thoughts, ask questions, we can have a conversation, all the good stuff. So that's a great way to interact with the Dog Pack. So head to jointhedawgs.com if you're interested in that. Okay, before I dive into anything about the game, one piece of news, and it's not major or anything, but one piece of news that came out here, I think today, the Browns have restructured Denzel Ward's contract. They converted $13.5 million of his base salary for this season into a bonus, which now gives the Browns $18 million in cap space, which is the 12th most in the NFL. So again, for a lot of the people out there that think, oh, the Browns, they're in cap space hell, they got to be one of the worst in the league. They are not. They are in the top half of the league in most cap space. And, again, we can dog Andrew Berry for some things, but there's other things that he's very, very good at. And manipulating the cap is one of them. And, of course, you got to give credit to Jimmy Haslam. It's all made possible because the dude is willing to just shell out cash like crazy to make this thing work. So just to kind of reiterate, again, a restructure is not a pay cut. Denzel Ward did not, take less money to help the team or anything. For if you watch the show for a long time, you know this stuff. But if you're new, it's always worth a reminder. Restructured contracts does not change the amount of money the player gets. It just changes when the player gets the money. So the $13.5 base salary was going to be doled out to Denzel Ward over the course of the season. And instead of doing that, they basically took that money off the cap, converted it to a roster bonus, and paid it to him right now. So whenever you see a restructured contract, the money that has been converted gets paid to the player now. So instead of getting $13.5 million over the course of the year, Denzel Ward got it all today. So it's no difference in money. It's a bookkeeping mechanism to help the cap. Okay, so now some stuff from the game on Sunday, and we're going to ride a little bit of a roller coaster Here we're going to be up, we're going to be down, we're going to talk about some positives, some negatives with this team because there were both. Obviously, there were a ton of positives from this game. And then there's also quite a few negatives coming out of this as well. We're going to get over into all of it. Pre-snap motion. This is from Jake Burns and Browns Film Breakdown on X. In 2024 last season, the Browns used motion on just 37.9% of snaps. That was 31st in the league. So only one team in the league used motion less than the Browns. Week 1, the Browns used motion on 70.5% of their plays. That was the third most in the NFL in week 1. The Browns EPA per play with motion, 0.08 on the positive. EPA per play without motion, negative 0.22. So motion, we've been talking about this for years. We wanted the Browns to have this more. It doesn't have to be like a super modernized offensive scheme. We want more modernized concepts and principles intermixed into the scheme. And this is where I think Tommy Rees's influence helps Kevin Stefanski's offense a lot. And the pre-snap motion, obviously a big difference compared to last year. And, you know, why didn't they use pre-snap motion a lot last year? Maybe the quarterback running the offense didn't really benefit from it. Maybe they didn't really understand it. Let's just call it what it is. Deshaun Watson had no idea what the hell was going on last year in the offense. You could tell. Nobody did. I don't think anybody did. But when your quarterback doesn't know what's going on, you got to keep it as simple as possible. Great to see that the Browns are finally implementing motion. Let's talk about Harold Fannin Jr. I mean, we talked about him the other night. 9 targets, 7 receptions, 63 yards. What I did not realize in the moment on Sunday is that 7 receptions is the all-time rookie record for most receptions by a tight end in week 1 of his rookie season. Harold Fannin Jr., the 3rd-round pick out of Bowling Green, is now tied for the record with fellow rookie tight end Tyler Warren from the Colts. Both of these guys had 7 passes or caught 7 passes in week 1. That's the most by any rookie tight end ever in week 1. So hats off to Harold Fannin. And I know there's a part of him probably that's just kicking himself even more for dropping that one pass. He did have one pass dropped. It was a pretty easy one as well. I think it was for a first down, if I'm not mistaken. You guys correct me in the chat. But he would have held that record all by himself if he just hauled in that one pass that he dropped. But it's okay. Harold Fannin off to a great start in his rookie career. Very excited to see what the Canton kid has coming up in his career. To kind of piggyback off what I just said with Harold Fannin, too many drops in this game. Too many drops. We had 4 official dropped passes. 2 were charged to Jerry Jeudy. Come on, dude. 1 by Cedric Tillman and 1 by Harold Fannin, like I just said. You cannot have your top 2 receivers dropping passes in the game. And not only were they drop passes, they were drop passes at crucial moments in the game. And both of your top receivers deflected dropped passes that turned into interceptions. Like, you guys, come on. You can't have this. Jerry Jeudy, I believe he had 13 drops. One of the most, right, last year in the NFL, something like that. And now already 2 in week 1. And as much as we're excited about Jerry Jeudy and we like Jerry Jeudy, he's just not an alpha receiver. Okay, we can be real about this. Jerry Jeudy is a nice receiver. He really is. He's just not a lead dog, you know, and maybe he had a down week in week 1, and, you know, maybe we'll see that alpha receiver emerge out of Jerry Jeudy over the course of this season or something. But as of right now, I just don't see it, and I've never really seen it. I don't believe he's among the receivers in the league who are, you know, feared. I think that he's a receiver that when teams have to game plan for the Browns, they got a game plan for Jerry Jeudy. He must be accounted for and factored into what they're going to do on defense. But I just don't think he is a feared receiver. Like, we can't let Jerry Jeudy beat us. You know, I hope I'm wrong in that. I hope he proves me wrong and things change. But as of now, I think he's a very nice receiver to have in your receiving core. But we talked about it Sunday. We need a 1 we need an alpha in this receiving room. This episode is sponsored by Manly Bands. Browns fans, it's time to kick off the NFL season, and it's also time for you to kick off your wedding band game. Head to manlybands.com right now for their fall wedding sale. Get 30% off site-wide, plus use promo code CAMP25, CAMP25, to get an extra $25 off your order. Manly Bands has the most unique, handcrafted wedding bands for men, and they've got a huge selection, so many different styles, materials, and collections to choose from. Plus, they've got manly gifts for any situation you need, whether you're getting married and you need groomsmen gifts. They've got barware, they've got chains, bracelets, they've got gifts for retirement, and they've got your everyday stuff like lighters and coffee mugs. They've even got ear pods and some pretty cool t-shirts as well. So dive into football season this fall. Head to manlybands.com, 30% off with the fall wedding sale, and get an extra $25 off your order with promo code CAMP25. That's manlybands.com/dogs. This episode is sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. Your season, your shot. The NFL is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown scores to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. And new customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly, plus score over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code BROWNS. That's code BROWNS to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet, plus over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
So let's kick back to some positive stuff here, because Dylan Sampson, man, all the rookies that played on Sunday did great, which bodes very well for the Browns' future. Now, the immediate success of the team, that's another story. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But per Matt Wilson on X, Dylan Sampson did not rush one time against an 8-man box. That's how bad our offensive line was. The Bengals had no respect for the run game. So they never stacked the box against the Browns on Sunday, and yet they still held us to under 2.0 yards per carry. That's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Our offensive line, bad. Bad. No push. If you're not out there getting push up front against the Bengals defensive line, I got news for you guys. Baltimore game Sunday is going to be rough. Quinshawn might be back. I'm not expecting much from the run game, guys. I'll be real with you. That's kind of sad. They did not stack the box one time. So here's the insane Dylan Sampson stat. If you guys follow us on social media, you saw it yesterday. But I was going through the PFF, the analytics and the deeper metrics from the game and all that kind of stuff. And there was one stat that really I really had to dig into to make sure that they didn't make an error on their website. Because when I first saw it, I thought, oh boy, PFF, come on, you guys got to get better. Like somebody botched these numbers. And then when I dug into it, I realized, they didn't mess it up. Dylan Sampson is just freaking awesome. So this stat, he had 64 receiving yards in the game. But when I scrolled over and I was looking at the deeper stuff, I saw that he had 98 yards after the catch. I'm like, wait a second. How did Dylan Sampson have 98 yak yards, but he only had 64 receiving yards? Didn't make any sense at first. And then I realized that his ADOT was, I think, negative 3.6, meaning on average, okay, he had 8 targets. On average, he was targeted 3.6 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So this means that, 98 to 64, that's 34 yards. He generated 34 yards behind the line of scrimmage. that didn't count as actual receiving yards for him because they weren't past the, where the marker was, where the down marker was. Only those yards count. He had 34 yards behind the line of scrimmage that he made guys miss, that he made plays, that he made great moves. I'm like, wow, Dylan Sampson. I was impressed with him watching the game, obviously. I mean, we all were. There's nobody who watched that game and was like, man, I don't know about this. No, Sampson looks awesome. But to look at these numbers and see that that's how awesome he was, I expect Dylan Sampson to be a huge part of the Browns' offensive passing attack moving forward, like he already was, especially since, like I mentioned with Jerry Jeudy, we don't have like a top alpha go-to, in the time of need. This is the guy we have to go to. By the end of the season, that guy might be one of the rookies, Harold Fannin, Dylan Sampson. These guys are already showing out for the Browns, and that is great, 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 great to see. So sticking with the receiving theme, I was just kind of looking at yards per route run. You guys know from like pre-draft analysis and stuff like that, talk about yards per route run all the time. And really, you want to see a guy over 2 is pretty good. Like if you get to like that 2.5 yards per route run on average, that's very, very good. Anything over that, you get guys like over 3, they pop off the charts. So keeping that 2 yards per route run in mind, looking at the Browns just in this game on Sunday, Dylan Sampson was at 4.27 yards per route run. And that right there tells you why and how he was able to generate 98 yak yards after the catch on just 64 actual receiving yards that counted in the box score. He's insane. And then you kind of go down, Harold Fannin Jr., the other rookie, 2.03 yards per route run. So in his first game ever, very, very good for these 2 rookies. Very impressive. I just wish that we had more actual threat at the receiving, actual wide receiver position. So just kind of looking over the offensive line numbers and stats and stuff like that. I mean, DeJuan Jones is taking a lot of heat online, and I think it's deservedly so. A lot of people are trying to defend DeJuan Jones because, hey, he didn't allow a sack. He was going against Trey Hendrickson, like the sack leader and all this stuff. And that's all very well and good. Yes, DeJuan Jones, 0 sacks allowed in this game. There was one, Joe Flacco had 2 sacks. One of them must have been attributed to Joe Flacco because the offensive line is only attributed with allowing 1 sack in this game, and that was on Ethan Posick. So the offensive line, and Joe Flacco was getting rid of the ball very quickly. I'll go look at his time to throw here in a second just to verify. But the offensive line held up decent in pass protection. DeJuan Jones, though, 7 pressures allowed. He allowed 2 quarterback hits. The only other quarterback hit in the game on Joe Flacco was the sack allowed by Posick. Otherwise, it was just DeJuan Jones. He allowed 5 hurries. The only other person to allow 5 hurries was Cornelius Lucas. The 7 pressures was the most by any Browns lineman. He had a 33.0 PFF grade. Like the next lowest on the offensive line was Jack Conklin at 59.4. So DeJuan Jones significantly lower. Like 33 is bad. That's just ass bad. And the test was tough. I get that. He went against Myles Garrett all summer in camp. So was kind of hoping he'd be a little more prepared for a guy like Trey Hendrickson and what the Bengals were going to do on the pass rush. I think Sunday's going to be interesting. We'll talk about it on the preview show later this week, but I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to reveal a lot of truths about our team that maybe the Bengals game did not, or maybe covered up a little bit, because it's the Bengals and we don't expect their defense to be much this year. Their offensive line and stuff was not great. Let's see what happens on Sunday, because if our defense can dominate the Ravens offensive line the way we dominated the Bengals, now it's like, well, okay, we are a top 1, 2, 3 defense in the league. If our offensive line can hold up very well against the Ravens pass rush and their defenders, okay, maybe we're not so bad. Could go the other way though, in a quick flash. So we'll see how it goes. But overall, other than that, on the offensive line, not a whole lot to talk about. Just need to see more from DeJuan. Really do. And then on the run blocking side of things, Nobody really, the two guards graded out pretty highly, which I'm not sure I trust necessarily. I saw a couple of times where they got blown up and it just wasn't pretty. Wasn't pretty on the run side of things. Like I was talking about Joe Flacco. Okay, he had a 2.78 time to throw. Quick. He's getting it out. So I wonder where that stacks on the week 1 slate. But let's put it this way. Last year, our quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson, was averaging well over 3 seconds to throw the ball, to get rid of the ball, because sometimes he held the ball 6, 7 seconds, just taking sacks and running into pressure and all that kind of crap. Not Joe Flacco, man. He doesn't have time for that. He's too old for that. He gets the ball. He knows where he's going with it. And what I liked about Joe Flacco, too, there were a couple plays, and I can't draw them off my memory specifically, but I remember watching a play or two where it was like, the pressure was coming, nobody was open, and he just dirts it. We saw Tom Brady do that so much toward the end of his career where he would just dirt it, just throw it right at the feet of a running back or a tight end or somebody and just live to play another down. And Joe Flacco had some of that where I was like, okay, that's a veteran move, and I was impressed. Joe Flacco did everything he needed to do in that game, in my opinion. Okay, so here's what I really want to spend some time discussing. And yeah, for me recording this, obviously it feels a little weird. I'm talking to a camera and not anybody else, but I know that you guys are going to talk to me back in the comments, and that's where we're going to have our conversation. So let me know your thoughts. Put it in the comments. I want to talk about this stuff. This specifically, this was a post from Jake Hurricane on X after the game. And he was referring to a segment from one of the sports shows, I talk shows. I forget what it was when they were talking about the Bengals and, were you impressed with their win over the Browns, or did it, because obviously 7 yards in the second half, there's not a lot to be impressed with if you're a Bengals fan. But they came away with the win. And his post said, "I'm tired of being the NFL's punchline. You hear, quote, they played the Browns, and it's true. We're the rehab game, the stat pad, the team that teaches other teams how to win a game. Or how to win again. We're not feared. We're not respected. We just know how to lose." Okay, Jake, that's a little harsh, right? Is it a little harsh? Or is it just actually very true? And that's where I kind of was reading that tweet and looking at it and thinking about things. And it's like, you know what? We are the team that just knows how to lose. And it's kind of hard to argue against that. And this is from, I think, Daniel Ofusi posted this from ESPN Research. He said, the Browns held the Bengals to 7 yards in the second half. That is the fewest yards in the second half by a winning team in the last 25 years. So 2.5 decades, no other team has had that few yards in a half of football in the NFL and still managed to win the game. The Bengals did it. The Browns let them do it. That's the kind of stuff where it's like, okay, this team, it's frustrating. We talked about it Sunday night. You go back to, I think it was 2022 when we played the Jets at home in week 2 or 3, and we had the game won. We were up by 13, 14, 2 scores. We were up by 2 scores with less than 2 minutes to go. And I don't remember the exact specifics of the situation, but in that scenario, whatever the specifics were, up by 2 scores, less than 2 minutes, maybe they had no timeouts left. I don't remember the deal, but I do remember the numbers that teams in that situation before that game were 229-0, which means the last 229 times this happened, the team that was winning won the game until the Browns lost that game to the Jets. They were the first team since the last team to lose in that situation before the 229 win streak was the Browns. And it's stuff like that where you hear longtime Browns fans or even just people that want to rag on the team say, Browns is the Browns. You're going to find a way to lose. Only in Cleveland can this kind of stuff happen. And it's kind of hard to argue when somebody says, hey, only Cleveland can blow that kind of a game, when the stats actually tell you that only Cleveland has blown that kind of game. So in the last 25 years, nobody has lost a game like that. except for the Browns now. And that's the kind of stuff that does piss me off. It really does. And we need to have some more deeper conversations about this. More stats on that. Cleveland outgained Cincinnati 327 to just 141 yards. We doubled them up on first downs, 22-11, and lost by 1 point. And Zach Jackson posted this on X. He said, Kevin Stefanski is 15-6 in one-score games with no missed kicks. So in games that the Browns are, in a one-score game for the Browns in which we do not miss a kick, Kevin Stefanski has won 15 of those and lost 6. In games that are decided by one score in which the Browns have missed at least one kick, one or more kicks, Kevin Stefanski is 8-15. So the record is completely flipped in any game where the Browns miss a kick. In one-score losses under Kevin Stefanski, missed kicks have cost the Browns 2.2 points per game. That is the most in the NFL. And this is the conversation I want to have. You guys know if you watch the show, we like Kevin Stefanski a lot. I think he's a great coach. I think Kevin is a great coach. I think he's well regarded around the league. I think that if the Browns let him go, he'd have a job next year. Somebody would hire him to be their next head coach, and we would continue on with his career as a head coach in the NFL. I think he's smart. I think he's relatable. I think he knows how to game plan and put together an efficient offense. Sometimes I think he's too loyal to players, coaches. I think he was too loyal to Joe Woods. Joe Woods should have been fired after the first season here. Instead, he stuck around for 3 years, and the Browns' defense was one of the worst in the league for all 3 of those years. I think he was too loyal to Ken Dorsey, and we had that argument a lot last year. I wanted Ken Dorsey fired after like 3 or 4 weeks, and Blake said you can't just fire a coordinator right in the middle of the year. That just causes turmoil. This team was a dumpster fire the entire season, and we didn't fire Ken Dorsey. It couldn't have been any worse if we had. And this comes down to this kicking thing now. They're sticking with Andre Szmyt, at least for another week. We'll see what happens in Baltimore. I have zero confidence in the kid. You guys let me know in the chat what you think. I think it's a bad idea to keep him on the roster. Now, I get it. He lost us one game, and yes, he did lose us that game. We won that game. Defense, offense, quarterback, Myles Garrett, secondary, everybody did what they needed to do to win that game. Everybody, except for Andre Szmyt. I mean, yes, you can point to the drop passes and things like that, but there's a point in the game where the drop pass doesn't matter because we're not having to throw the ball. The interception from, I think, off Cedric Tillman's hands. That interception doesn't happen if Andre Szmyt makes his kicks. Does not happen because we're already winning the game. Now we're just running the ball to run out the clock. So we're keeping him at least for another week because Kevin's loyal. I don't agree, but maybe he'll be okay. The thing is, when you look at the numbers and understand that, like just the stat, in one-score losses under Kevin, missed kicks have cost 2.2 points per game. It's the most in the NFL. If that were me, if that sentence said under Josh All, missed kicks have cost the Browns 2.2 points per game, I would have zero tolerance policy for a missed kick. Now, if you're out there and you're trying to kick like a 57-yarder into the wind or, it's raining outside and it's like, man, there's no way we're making this kick. I'm not going to hold that against a guy because that's like a Hail Mary pass in that situation. You miss a PAT, out. You miss a chip shot field goal from 36 to go up. Those are the money kicks in the NFL. If you can't make that kick, you're gone. You have to be gone. This episode is sponsored by Omaha Steaks. Browns fans, nothing beats tailgating for football season. And my tailgates never happen without Omaha Steaks. From handcrafted steaks to delicious fall favorites, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience. I've been using Omaha Steaks food for my cookouts, my tailgates, my parties, everything for years now. And if you haven't tried it, I promise you are missing out. And right now during the Red Hot Sale event, you can get 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $35 off with promo code BARK, B-A-R-K, at checkout. Omaha Steaks has been America's original butcher since 1917, and every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness and hand-cut by master butchers in America's heartland. So get fired up for fall grilling with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during the Red Hot Sale event, and for an extra $35 off, use promo code BARK at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code BARK at checkout. See site for details. So that's the kicking conversation, but the overarching conversation with Kevin Stefanski, and again, I'm not saying that I want them to fire Kevin or that I'm done with Kevin or anything like that. No. I like Kevin. I just talked about this. I like Kevin a lot. I think he's a great coach. But at some point, this goes back to this all goes back to, and it relates to that Jake Hurricane tweet about we're the team that no one respects. We're the team that nobody fears. We're the team that if you're going to have a bounce back game, it's against Cleveland. If you're going to get a historic victory that nobody else in the history of the league was ever able to do, it'll be against the Browns. And it's not hyperbole because it's true. And it's happened many, many times. I've given you guys now, just with this Sunday and the game against the Jets 3 years ago, those are two examples. There are many examples. What about the same season that we lost to the Jets when we lost to the Falcons down in Atlanta? They had a practice squad running back. I don't even remember the guy's name. Came up and torched us. That doesn't happen to anybody else, guys. Come on. Let's be real. And that was that Joe Woods defense. And that goes back to Kevin's decision to keep Joe Woods, even though he was terrible. So if we look at the body of work of Kevin Stefanski's time in Cleveland, he's had 2 11-win seasons. He's had 2 Coach of the Year awards. He's had 2 playoff appearances and a playoff victory. That's great. Those are things you can't say about any other coach that Cleveland has had. But if you look at it honestly, and that's all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look at this honestly and just give a one or a two-sided approach to this thing. We love Kevin. We think he's a great coach. But at some point, results have to factor into things. And the only results that matter are the wins and losses. And this will be year 6 for Kevin Stefanski. And I think we can all probably agree the odds are in favor of this probably being a losing season. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think we kind of all expect the Browns to lose more games than they win this year. So let's just, for the sake of argument, for the sake of this discussion, let's just say 2025 here, it's a losing season for the Browns. That would mean Kevin Stefanski in 6 years has 4 losing seasons and 2 winning seasons. Now, if we dial it back just a little bit and we're really honest with ourselves, 2023 was absolutely going to be a losing season until Joe Flacco came in here and saved our asses. That is what happened. Because if it was going to be, say he didn't want to play anymore. Say Joe Flacco said, no, I don't want to play anymore. Or he signed somewhere else because they needed a quarterback or whatever. And we stuck with PJ Walker and DTR throughout the rest of that season. We don't win 11 games. We don't go to the playoffs. It was only because we got Joe Flacco. And this, this is a hard conversation to have because I like Kevin. And I know I'm going to get a lot of pushback from people here and people that are going to take this the wrong way. But if you take Joe Flacco out of the equation in 2023, now and you consider we assume that 2025 is going to be another losing season. Now we're talking 1 winning season in 6 years as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. That's not very good. At least what do you guys think? Do you guys think that's okay? That's 1 out of 6. It's not very good. And then projecting forward next year, say, again, it's a losing season in 2025. We end up getting a first-round rookie quarterback next year. They want to roll maybe with Dylan Gabriel to begin the season. Then they transition to the first-rounder once they think he's ready or whatever. It's going to be another slow-rolling season, maybe another losing season. Now we're talking 2 actual out of 7, 1 legit out of 7. I don't know, guys. At some point, the results have to matter. At what point is this team ever going to become a team that is consistently winning football games, or I should say winning more than they lose. We're not there, obviously, and it doesn't feel like we're going to be there anytime soon. And that's the frustrating part as a Browns fan, is we've been patient. We've been biding our time and waiting for this team to be competitive in 2023. And it was really the mirage that Joe Flacco gifted us with what was going on at the end of that season. We had weak opponents. He came in, took advantage. I mean, it was all very well done to make the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to discredit what Kevin did in 2023 with Joe Flacco, but without Joe Flacco, I don't think that happens. And, you know, we found ways to win games throughout the end of that season, really throughout that entire season. You think back to the Colts game when, you know, Deshaun Watson goes out early in the game. PJ Walker comes in, and it was not great. Our defense was letting the Colts do whatever they wanted to us, but we got lucky on some calls late in the game. We should have lost, but we didn't. We won. We should have lost to the 49ers. We didn't. They missed their, field goal to win the game at the end, and we won. PJ Walker tried to throw a pick at the end of that game. They dropped it. We won. We found ways to win. It was like, hey, maybe the culture shift in Cleveland is here. Maybe we are now becoming the team that finds ways to win games rather than finds ways to lose them. And then forget it. We're right back to finding ways to lose games. And that's what's frustrating. We'll see what happens. You guys can tell. Yes, the 2 days since the game has not done a whole lot for my optimism for the outlook of this team, but what has done a lot for the outlook is the rookies. Now, like I said earlier, the rookie success so far, the promising showings here in week 1, it bodes well for our long-term future for this team. But for the immediate, meaning this year, and, we'll see what happens next year, I don't know, man. It really just all depends on the quarterback situation, unfortunately, because I don't know. We'll see, because we are going to see we'll see at least Dylan Gabriel at some point this season. Hopefully we get to see Shador as well. We'll see how long they ride with Joe Flacco if we continue to lose games. We've got some tough ones coming up. Baltimore's going to be very tough because they just blew a 15-point lead in Buffalo to start 0-1, and they are going to be out for blood at home against the Browns next week, or this coming Sunday. And then we get the Packers, and the Packers defense looks very good. Very, very good. So that'll be an interesting one following that. But if we want to end everything here on a positive note, Samson, dog. We get Quinshawn back hopefully this week. We'll see what kind of how the things are trending toward the end of the week. Once we get to our preview show, maybe we'll have more information. And whether he is actually effective in his first game with the Browns, if it is against the Ravens or not, is almost not as important as just the fact that he's out on the field. We actually get this second-round rookie running back on the field. It's going to be a slow, coming up for him, I think, because he missed all of camp. He missed all of preseason. He hasn't had a single contact padded practice since, leading up to the national championship game back in January. It's going to be a minute for Quinshawn, but at least we got him back. We got him signed. We're moving in the right direction. Harold Fannin Jr. looks like he is going to become a go-to target for the Browns as a rookie playing the tight end position. We're really, this is the move joker position for the Browns. Harold Fannin took a direct snap at quarterback. He'll line up at fullback. He lines up in the slot, tight end, inline, out wide. He's a do-it-all guy. Now, he doesn't have like your elite speed, and he's not going to push the field, push the downfield threat or anything like that, but he is going to be an absolute go-to target for this team, and that's great to see because he's only a 20-year-old rookie. He might be 21 now, I can't remember, but when they drafted him, he was 20 years old, and he's already doing this and commanding this much attention and target share in the offense. Very encouraging. Mason Graham, we talk all the time. Defensive tackle is the hardest position to transition to from college to the NFL outside of quarterback. And actually, really, it's defensive tackle on defense and tight end on offense. And we've got a rookie defensive tackle and a rookie tight end who both showed out very well right away in their rookie debuts in the NFL. So that's super encouraging. And of course, Carson Schlesinger, the dude is a rookie, but he's playing like a 4 or 5 year vet pro. I mean, man, is that guy good. Already leading the team in tackles in his first game. I expect that to be the case and the story for him most weeks this season. He's going to lead the team in tackles. He'll be the team leader in tackles by the end of the season. I can almost guarantee you that, as long as he doesn't get hurt or anything or miss any time. I don't see anybody on this team who's going to out tackle Carson Schlesinger. It's just what he does. He doesn't miss, and he's always at the ball. So the positive note after that whole kind of down discussion we just had about this team is, I think they finally hit on a draft class, like a complete draft class. Now, obviously, there's 2 rookies that can't both hit at the same time. You can't have both quarterbacks on the field leading the offense. So we're hoping one of those guys can show some promise by the end of this season. But in terms of everybody outside of the quarterback position, so far, so freaking good. Very excited for the future of this team. And that's not even to mention some of the UDFA guys out there. I mean, he didn't contribute a lot on defense or anything, but Aiden Huntington, the dude is going to be at least to begin the season here, a special teams ace. I saw him on a kickoff. Specifically, I watched him one of the kickoffs, and he just mauled a guy. Like, he is very good. Ronnie Hickman, he's a third-year guy, but he's a UDFA, stepping up, playing very nice in our secondary. The defense overall looks good. We've got the UDFA waiver priority guy, Raheem Sanders, Rocket Sanders, getting the first touchdown of the year for the Browns after Jerome Ford couldn't do it. So the rookies have looked good through the first week here. There was nobody that I'm like, ooh boy, we got a long way to go. Like, everybody showed why they're here and that they have potential to continue to develop into legitimate players for this team, which is something we desperately need, not having first round picks for 3 years in a row and missing on some third rounders and guys like that. I mean, it was very encouraging to see. 2 guys that just, they got to get out. I want Andre Szmyt gone, and I want Jerome Ford gone. Those are 2 guys that I think are just not worth having on the team. I understand keeping Szmyt another week to see if he can bounce back and everything. Okay, fine. I do not understand keeping Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford, if you factor in his 1 reception for -3 yards, had, what was the stat? 7 total touches for 5 total yards on the game. Cut him. He's so bad. He's so bad. Got to get rid of that guy. But everybody else looked very good in this game. Kicker blew it. That's what it comes down to. Browns won the game. Kicker lost the game. Bengals walked out with a win. That is what it is. But you guys let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? How do you guys feel about the game? Are you back up? Are you back ready to go? Like, let's go into Baltimore and knock them off. We can bounce back and do this. Or, did you guys watch Baltimore like I did the other night and said, oh boy, this one's going to be tough? And how do you feel about the rookie performances? I mean, getting Quinshawn back is going to be awesome, but I already know that we got a dude in Dylan Sampson, and that's exciting. That is super exciting. So again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Drop it in the comments, all your thoughts, opinions, reactions, everything. Let's have the discussion. Let's go from there. Join thedawgs.com if you want to become a part of the Dog Pack, become an official Patreon member, sync up with the Discord. We are going to be doing our preview episodes on the Discord server, so make sure you guys are in there. You can join the show during that episode. There's segments where you guys can come up and talk. You can ask questions. You can give your opinions, your takes. We can talk about the previous game. We'll talk about the upcoming game, all that stuff. Anything. Really, you guys dictate the show. Whatever you guys want to talk about. I mean, obviously, it's the preview show for the upcoming game, but there's time for you guys to do and talk about whatever you want to for this team. So we're excited to be doing that again. We did those, I think, last year for a little while, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun getting back to getting you guys on the show. So we appreciate everybody, again, tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys on the preview show when we discuss the Browns heading to Baltimore to take on the 0-1, somehow 0-1, Baltimore Ravens.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Browns fans, if you're like me, the stresses in life only increase the older you get. Your family, your job, your bank account, just a few things that drive the cycle of stress every day. And if you have people constantly depending on you, it can put a heavy weight on your mental health. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? Why does no one appreciate everything I'm trying to do for them? If these thoughts have ever darkened your day, one, you're not alone, and two, I highly recommend talking to someone, and that's where BetterHelp could be the right resource for you. Head to BetterHelp, HELP.com/Dawgs, DAWGS for 10% off your first month of talk therapy. Just fill out a simple questionnaire and BetterHelp will match you with the best therapist for your needs. And if it's not the right fit, you can switch therapists at any time for no extra cost. BetterHelp is 100% online. You can talk with your therapist on the phone, via face chat, or even through text message. Your therapist will listen, ask questions, and help you see things from new perspectives. So what are you waiting for? Take the first step to making positive improvements in your life. Head to BetterHelp.com/Dawgs now for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Dawgs for 10% off your first month.